What if the way you're selling your art is a bad strategy? And who told you need to show your art prices? Because as you watch me draw this, learn every advantage to hiding your art prices, why you'll do more sales, better business with more satisfied clients, and those commission and pricing sheets, you can keep them to yourself. Starting off today, I wanted to make this video simply because I want to clarify and give you personal advantages why this is going to work much better for you, especially long term. And if you're somebody right now who's using a commission sheet, or every single time that somebody reaches out to you, the first thing that you do is you slap them with that pricing sheet, why this is not going to serve you, and it's also not serving your clients well. And it's also, most importantly, not going to grow your business. And this video is the third in my installments of all of these advantages and disadvantages, and I've covered other aspects of why you shouldn't do this in my previous ones, but for this one, I want to go ahead and keep it positive. What are you going to get out of it? How is this going to help you, and how is this also going to help your art? And please do me a favor, if this method is working for you, then please sound off in the comments, because I want more artists to know that this is not just me with this weird, crazy idea, and that others like you do this, because I know that you do. And if you think it is impossible to sell your art without showing your prices, then please show me this. Go ahead, look me up on any of my socials, DM me with somebody's pricing sheet that at minimum is charging $300 or more, and they don't have a following. And I'll wait for that, but I know you're not going to do it because I know that they don't exist. And what I want to take you out of is burnout practices that are not going to help you, that are going to keep you poor, and that are not also going to sustain your business, and that are going to be terrible for your mental health. So please, I want you to try it before you deny it, because if you haven't done it, what's the harm in doing it? And so let's go into every single reason why you should not show your art prices and use a conversation-based method instead. This first advantage really clarifies what I think a lot of people completely have a misconception on in my previous videos on this topic. And this works for all client types. Like, under no circumstances does this only work for commercial businesses. If you're hiding your prices and you're strictly having a full conversation with somebody before you go ahead and you give them any type of a number, this will work for all client types. I generally notice that I get a lot of pushback from people that say that, well, this won't work for the average person. Why do you think that? Who said that? What is your evidence against that? And I say evidence, not opinion, because you can have a hypothesis, but it's not proven. And that's what I'm pushing out here. Whereas what I want to push forward to you and suggest to you instead is that this works for anybody. Literally 99% of all my business over the last 10 years has been from private clients, has been from people that just work a full-time job, has been from people that go ahead, go to work, come home, and then pay me money to create their artwork, just like the ones that you're seeing right here, right now. But the reason why is I tend to think that most people talk themselves out of this reality is because they've been trained to think that they have to do this. And that's simply not the case, y'all. You can go ahead and appeal to everybody with this method. Next, you will no longer have to defend results that are not satisfactory to you and that will not grow you. You know, a curiosity that I tend to have as soon as I go ahead and I read comments where people think that they have to show their pricing or they have to use a commission sheet, or when somebody DMs them, the first thing that they do excitedly is slap out a price without any type of a structured conversation in between. And you have to realize, because I had to have this tough conversation with myself too at one point, that is only defending what you're currently getting. And people will come at me vehemently, Sean, this won't work, or I don't think the client will do this, or I think that I'm being dishonest by doing this, which is not the case. We'll go over that today too. But I just want to know, if you're going to come at this strategy, which is proven by the way, and say that it doesn't work, and you're going to fight that hard against it, are you willing to fight that hard for yourself? Because what I understand is that you defend your practices like it's personal. And it's not. It's just a business practice, my friend. And the best thing about that is that there's always room for improvement. There's always room for growth. And as you're watching this video too, you might even be thinking, well, I don't understand how this works, or I couldn't possibly do this. Okay, I started by not doing this. You will be capped, you will be limited, as I go over in a minute. If you can't implement this yet, then at least I would hope that you get curious about this. I hope that this starts to ruminate in your head and say, how could I move into this practice? Because this was game changing for me. It's been game changing for thousands of artists like you that have done this, and it's gonna be the same way for you. But you cannot defend your lackluster results and also wanna fight for your future. They conflict. Moving on, another common concern I get is that, okay, well, if I have a conversation with somebody and I put out a price to somebody that they can't afford, well, then they feel embarrassed. And so what I want to let you know is that that client rejecting you, that client rejecting that price is actually not a bad thing. It's actually a really great tactical negotiation strategy. And here's why. See, there's an effect in sales that we call the anchor effect. And what the anchoring effect does is basically is that we lock onto the number that we're given. And so when you're going ahead and you're using a commission sheet, when you're going ahead and you slap somebody out with your pricing sheet, what they see first is the lowest number, not the highest number. They see the lowest. And then what that makes it hard to do is to go ahead and price up. So they have a number in their head. And what you're doing is you're making them negotiate paying more. Whereas if you have a full-on conversation and you get to know all the specifics and get to know the client, and I'll talk to you about why that's a big advantage as we go through this video today too, then you get to slap out one number. And they might say, well, oh my God, that's way too much. It's way more than I was expecting. Okay, cool. Now we have the anchoring effect. They're anchored onto the highest amount. Then you can talk them down. Okay, cool. You want a full illustration? How about we remove the background, just the character? It would be this much. Okay, well, that's still a little too much. Okay, cool. Well, then we can go ahead and do a half body. Oh, okay, we're getting better. Okay, I can do a bust. And so what you want to do is get into the practice of pricing them down from where you anchor from instead of trying to price them up. Because you're not going to have an easy time pricing up. You'll have a much easier time pricing down because this is psychology. This is how we actually make good sales and how we can negotiate with clients. And again, if people don't want to buy from you, why do you think that they're embarrassed about it? Like, that's such a crazy idea. Like, do you walk around like a store and you're just like, can you not display that big TV? I feel embarrassed that I can't buy it. Or do you like go by a car dealership and you're like, excuse me, I feel embarrassed. Can you not be here, Mercedes-Benz? I can't afford it. Like, we're so dramatic about this, and it's actually not that big of a deal. If people can't afford you, then that's not your problem, that's their problem. Or on the other hand, what if they turn around and they're an absolute jerk about it? Well, then you just dodged a bullet and a really bad client. So overall, loads of great advantages to that. But overall, loads of great advantages to this one, and it works out for your negotiation favor. Now let's move into a heavier topic that a lot of people think is a bad thing, but I want to represent this to you as it's actually a good thing. Many people that are selling their freelance work and using pricing sheets and putting that out there, or they're DMing people because they don't have a conversation with them first about it, they think that they're going to scare clients. And I just want to put it out there for you. Yes, you are going to scare some clients by not displaying your pricing. Yes, you are going to scare some clients by having them have a conversation with you. Yes, you are also going to go ahead and scare away one particular type of client, which is cheaper clients. And so the thing that you want to kind of think about is what's the longevity in your game here, okay? Because look, you can go ahead and be like most freelancers and go ahead and exist for like 1 to 2 years, burn out because they had terrible practices and terrible pricing that supported that happening, and then never do it again. I don't want that for you. I've been doing this for 10 years, and I don't see myself stopping anytime soon. I would love for that to be you too. And here's what nobody will tell you at the beginning, because I used to do this too. I did all these mistakes. Commission sheets and pricing sheets give a low value perception. In other words, that you come off like a cheaper artist and you present yourself as somebody that's not worth the amount of money that you would like. Whereas a lack of a pricing sheet and lack of display pricing actually conveys a higher perceived value. You get clients that understand coming into it and coming into your process that they are going to be treating you as if you are a luxury service. And this is the main mindset you want to wrap your mind around, okay? You cannot be a luxury service, which is what art freelancing is, and act like you are a bargain product. That's not going to grow you, friend. It's going to keep you down. It's going to keep you where you're currently at, or lower. And I don't want that for you. And so what this will do is it will attract better clients and it will attract more serious clients. And if, again, you want to be that person that says, oh, well, this can't work for the average person. Why do you think that? Like, do average people not go out and buy crazy expensive computers? Did they not buy the latest Xboxes and PlayStations? Did they not go ahead and run out and buy a Switch 2 at $600? Why do we think that average people can't drop $300 to $600 on an artwork? They do all the time, every single month. So there's another reason why that happens, and I'll go into that in this video too. But it's not about your pricing. And again, you can fight for cheaper clients, but I just want to put this out there. They're not going to be as passionate about fighting for you in your future as much as you are fighting for them to keep you exactly where you are. The next reason you should do this is that first and foremost, you're going to thrive. You're actually grow a business. You're actually going to be proud of the money that you're getting in here. And if you want to learn more tips on how to do that, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe, because I'm going to be coming at you just like this every single week to give you real, actionable, practical things that you can do to be a better artist and grow your art business. And if you're liking this, please share it with somebody that you know so that they can do better too. And speaking of that, here's also why you're going to do better by not displaying your art prices. Next, one of the major foundations of why this process works so well, why it attracts better clients, why it will attract more money to your bank account too, is because of one critical factor that you don't get from when you are displaying your prices, which is that people are just into you and only supporting you because you are transactional. What that means is that they are only coming to you based on your prices, not because of your art, a little bit because of your art, but mostly because of the fact that your art fits their small budget. And that cannot be sustainable for you, friend. So instead, here's how you actually get higher value clients. And by the way, this isn't just my opinion. This is what they expect. I've done the research on it. They expect you to build trust. And nobody talks about that. But please consider for a moment here that some stranger somewhere around the world is going to wire you hundreds of dollars potentially, thousands of dollars potentially, and hope that you are going to deliver. Does that sink in? Like, does that register with you? Have you ever thought about that from the client perspective? And so just to combat a common objection, you might say, well, it's sneaky, it's dishonest, it's not transparent by you not displaying your pricing. No, it is the mark of a professional, because what a professional is going to do, and I don't mean somebody that's like a full-time artist, because listen, like I have a day job, I do that, and I come home and I work on my art business and I make stuff like you're watching me do right now. A professional means somebody that carries themselves with a little bit more integrity and sees that there's growth to them. And so for you, my friend, you want to build trust, establish a bond, establish a connection, establish a relationship, and this yields so many powerful results for your client and your art business. You might think to yourself, because you've been listening to too many cheap clients in your life, or cheap clients that pop into my comments sometimes in other videos that say that they won't buy without it, and just kind of realize that they're just fighting for you to stay poor. You can fight for you to stay poor, but I don't want that for you, because I've been there and I don't want you to be there either. Some of you are in such bad poverty. And if you're fighting for them, then you also can't fight for yourself. But if you have a conversation and you demonstrate excitement and you learn about the project, they appreciate it. They love it. When you mirror their enthusiasm for their project, they want to work with you and they will want to return to you. Not just return to you because your pricing is really low. Next, you might not have thought about this as an advantage, but one of the biggest things that will help you evolve your business is actually to get out of the mode of thought of thinking like an artist, okay? And so what I mean by this is that a lot of times we get trapped into thinking about how things should work based on how we would do it. And I see this most common in artists that are also commissioning other artists. And especially for them, what makes it hard for them to accept an alternative practice to doing what everybody else is doing, and honestly, nobody's winning at it, nobody's really killing it. And the secret to you doing more and getting better clients is by you taking yourself out of that role for a moment when you're conducting business of thinking like an artist. And this pertains to like how you might be an artist from an impoverished country. This might be about how you only have so much money that you would spend on your artwork or on your own commissions that you commission from other artists. This might also be for how you're displaying your prices. And most importantly is that you are going to have to combat your own value perception of yourself, where you have to say, I'm not worth it. Or you're gonna make up excuses like, oh, the art market is in peril. It's not. Oh, the economy's bad. It's not. None of these are true for the art market. If you have a problem selling your product, I'll get into that, but it's not this. And I just want to put this out there, but if you take better care of your business and you sustain yourself and your mental health and your economic health better through better practices and better clients, like I'm suggesting, you actually get to think like an artist when it really matters, which is when your pen hits that paper, when your paintbrush hits that canvas, when your stylus hits that tablet. That's where I want you to think like an artist. But you're gonna get stuck in thinking like other artists that are doing these things that don't work for them and it's not working for other people. And again, just putting it out there, like how much do you expect to earn by doing this? Because I've seen every single artist doing this burn out and none of them actually sustain themselves. Y'all, you can think like an artist when you're actually in the process of making art, or you can think like an artist when you're devaluing yourself. But it's really hard to do both. Now I want to make really obvious for you a few different pricing advantages and economic advantages that you're going to get by not displaying your prices. And it's going to start with this one. You are no longer capped at what you can earn, and you are going to have other advantages to this as we go through this video. The first thing that I want to let you know is that you no longer have a ceiling. And I'm going to be incredibly transparent, incredibly honest, like I know matters to you, about numbers here. First and foremost is when you start to go ahead and price yourself, usually between $100 and $200, your visible pricing scares people away. Whether or not you're displaying it on a commission sheet and putting that out there in public, or if you're just gonna go ahead and DM somebody immediately back like an excitable little puppy every single time somebody comes to you and you slap out that pricing sheet, typically between $100 and $200 is when you're actually gonna scare people away. And so the other reason too, just to go ahead and put another ceiling that you're gonna hit, is typically around the $500 to $1,000 mark every single month. When you go ahead and you hit those numbers, I just wanna put it out there, commission sheets, pricing sheets have to go, because you're not going to do that. And again, I just wanna put it out there, like challenge me, please. Like if you think that I'm wrong, present me with the counter narrative in evidence. You might be very, very rich in opinions, like many people are, but poor in actual demonstration. And so again, if you know an artist out here that is advertising actively with commission sheets and they don't have a following, then please go ahead and DM me, because I would like to know, I'd like to study that too, and I will publicly admit that I'm wrong. But I know that I'm not, because I've talked to enough artists, I've helped enough artists grow out of this. And again, I just want to put this out there, even if you're not ready for that yet, once you hit those metrics, you're gonna realize you have to do something more. The reason being is because how would you like to go ahead and earn $1,000 or more a month without doing 25 commissions every single month? That won't work, you won't last, and to be honest, you're not gonna try as hard either. But that is a major critical factor to why you have to dump this practice. Is, again, in that $500 to $1,000 a month range, you're not gonna sustain yourself with this and be consistent with it. Instead, by doing this, I've been able to go ahead and grow my art business to $2,000 to $5,000 a month. And I've also worked with people in my mentorship that have been able to scale just as much, just by doing this practice and by focusing into what matters and how to catch those clients. And it's not through advertising your prices. The next direct money advantage that you're gonna have by not advertising your prices is how much easier it is to go ahead and price up. And there's two things I wanna go ahead and say about this. The first one is that you should be pricing up based upon how many clients you have. And again, this is a big flaw with a commission sheet. Again, if you go ahead and you slap out a number, clients latch onto that number. And so what I advise people to do, and it works really well, is that honestly, if you have 3 clients, that third client to the 5th client to however many clients you got should not be paying the same price tag. But if you have locked in pricing, you can't do this very easily. And so just to be specific on that, if I have 3 clients and let's say they all want the same exact thing, relatively the same complexity, okay? Let's say that
The first one is $100, the second one's $100, the third one is gonna be $125. The fourth one from there would be $150. The one after that would be $200. And so here's why this works and why you need to go ahead and think about this. And nobody really talks about this, but I want to for you. It's called bandwidth. And so just think about this. The more projects that you work on, the less bandwidth you have to go ahead and focus. And I believe that you need to be compensated for your bandwidth better. And I gave low prices, by the way, in that example. I've gone ahead, I've done this much higher than this, and you can do it too. But you should not stay at the same price point for an extended period of time. Can I be honest with you? If you have the same exact pricing for 6 months or greater, that is a choice. You heard me right on that. You're choosing to stay at that price point. And you, by displaying your prices, are going to piss off people who you want to price up. Instead, when nobody sees my prices or nobody sees your prices, and then they go through a conversation with you and they come to the end and then you give a price when you're ready to, then there's no objection because they have nothing to latch onto. That's the anchoring effect too, by the way. So this is a much easier way to ascend your pricing to get past that typical cap floor that most artists do and not have to do a ridiculous amount of labor to do it. Moving on, I want to give you something that I don't think anyone's ever told you, but it's something that you wish you could do. And when you have a conversation with somebody, when you're developing some type of a connection with them, when you're having a real human experience with them, you get this major, awesome skill, and it's called saying no. And so there are so many times that I can look back on my experiences in freelancing when I was priced lower, when I did not get the clients I wanted to, when I was using, by the way, the same methods that you might be doing right now and showing your prices and hoping that somebody buys you based on the market or anything else like that. And I wish I just didn't work with them. You did it for the money, respect your hustle. But when you actually grow yourself through doing this practice, you gain the most boss skill ever, which is saying no. No, I don't want to work. Sorry, that's outside the scope of what I can do, or I don't really like that. Because here's the honest truth. When you're growing your art business, generally speaking, everybody that's doing this is underpricing themselves. And I don't want that for you. Because when you're in that mode, you're in desperation mode. And you cannot be in thriving success mode and desperation mode at the same time. Literally last night, I just talked to somebody that's in my Art Mentorship program, and they were approached by a client that severely underpriced them. And because of the fact that he's been able to grow his business exponentially from like only a couple $100s a month to thousands, he was able to say no to them. And that is such an awesome boss move. I love that. So how empowering would it be for you to actually be able to turn down somebody that you don't want to work with on a project that you don't want to work on, or because their personality doesn't fit what you want? Very awesome. Now, picking up on a previous point, one of the biggest things that people combat me with is that clients won't reach out to them if they don't display their pricing. And again, I just want to put it out there. You're listening to too many cheap clients and artists that are doing this. And to be real, they don't want you to do better than them. I want to just make that incredibly transparent right now. Artists have this nasty mentality sometimes of wanting you to do well, but not better than them. And when we're fighting for really bad practices, we're also trying to make sure that nobody surpasses us. And I say that from observation and also the experience of it too, in feeling that from other people. I want you to do better. And so just to dispel all that, you will get more serious clients. And that is beautiful. It's awesome. You'll get clients that are excited to work with you. And that yields many great benefits that we'll talk about today too. And along with that, you get people that will give you less pushback. They'll give you less revisions. That will go ahead and enjoy the process, and that you will enjoy it too. Because this is not just about them. It's about you too, friend. And by removing your pricing, you get to go ahead and filter the ones that you know have a much higher likelihood of buying from you. And that also builds itself into the fact that you need to go ahead and vet that person. You need to make sure it's a good connection, it's a good fit for you personality-wise. And I don't just do this with my freelance business, I do this with my art mentorship too. Like, I have a conversation with anybody before I give any pricing, because I want to make sure that they are going to enjoy the experience, that I'm going to enjoy them, and also too, that we're a good match. I can help them the way I want to help you too. And again, I've been able to say, sorry, I don't really think that this is going to be a good fit. Not that I have like crazy high standards for it, but by displaying my prices and having people buy without conversing with me about it first, then it runs the risk of me getting locked into somebody for months at a time and not enjoying them, and it being a bad experience for both of us. And by the way, if you want to learn more about my art mentorship, go ahead and check out my link in the description, see how it's helped a bunch of artists just like you and can help you as well. But if you want to work with more serious clients, you have to take a more serious approach that's unlike the way everybody else is doing it. Now, let's talk about, I think the biggest advantage to doing this is by you compounding with everything that we've talked about today and we'll talk about now, you will get less clients for more money. Because tell me this, do you love to go ahead and do $500 worth of business in a month, but you have to go ahead and do 20 commissions to do it, or you have to do 15 commissions to do it? Or are you really excited about the fact that you did 100 commissions at $25 this past year? Because you could have done that in way less. The reason why that's working for you is not because you're honest, because you're transparent, because clients love you. It's because of your pricing. And so it becomes so much easier for you, like it was for me too. I start off at $35, by the way. I know how this game goes, okay? You are you are able to actually get less clients for more money. A lot of people think about this opposite, and they think they need to get more money, they have to take more clients. No, you should be taking less clients at a higher premium. You displaying your pricing attracts people that want to buy you for one reason. Your prices fit what they want. But hey, if you want to go ahead with the normalized burnout practices that won't sustain you, be my guest. I don't want that for you. I'm sad that you want to take that road, but that's your choice, friend. But there is a better way to do this. And yes, even if you're in an economically disadvantaged country, I just want to put this out for you. You don't have to price yourself low. That is a choice. Otherwise, what you're doing, if you're from an economically disadvantaged country and you're poor in that economically disadvantaged country, or even if you're in the United States and you feel poor, then you pricing yourself poor and using those methods will only do one thing: keep you poor. I don't want that for you. You don't need to do that. But that is your perception of what you think that you're worth. And that's not true, friend, because you should be doing less for more. Even if it starts out, okay, I'm gonna go $35, then I'm gonna go to $40, then I'm gonna go to $50, then I'm gonna go to $75, then I'm gonna go to $100. You can do this slow. I'm not saying by any means you go from $25 to $200, but maybe that's your goal long term. How's that sound? All right, here's a biggie. And if you're somebody who struggles with gaining consistent business, here's the real reason why. And that wraps itself into this advantage right here. And I love this one. You actually become a brand, okay? When you put out professional practices, like I'm talking about in this video, as I'm suggesting it to you, you evolve from a struggling, inconsistent business and you start to take on the identity of a brand. And a brand, I don't mean that you're like a mega million corporation, but I mean like if you are, good for you. But in the simplest sense, it just means that people have higher expectations of you and that you hold yourself to higher expectations too. And this is, I just want to put it out there. If you're not getting consistent business, if you're not getting the prices that you want, it's your brand that is the fault of that. And so just to go ahead and put out a few things, I've talked about these in my other videos, but like if you're not getting clients, it's always because of this issue. It's because of your niching, it's because of your examples, it's because you are not putting yourself out there enough or as frequently. And yes, your practice right here of putting out prices or not, because you have a low value perception by putting out your prices this way. This is not how luxury products work. It's not how any luxury service works either. It demands a conversation first. And so what this does is it gives clear expectations for what you expect from the clients, but also what clients expect from you, and you're able to deliver a much more luxury experience for them. This is a big advantage, and this is what I want you to grow into. What would it be like for you to be a brand and not just a struggling artist? Next, let's talk about one of the best, most underrated advantages that you're gonna get from this, and it's gonna involve a soft skill that honestly you need to develop, and it is growing tolerance, okay? Because one of the biggest issues that I think holds back you from doing something better than what you're doing right now, and why a lot of artists will defend practices that honestly, it doesn't work for anybody. And it's helping artists only do one thing, which is underachieve. And I'm coming from a personal place in doing this because I was there. I remember what it feels like to work on a piece for a long period of time and not feel compensated enough for it. I remember what it was like to feel like I had to keep up with the market. I remember what it feels like to go ahead and try to work for pennies and not be able to do much at all with it. Like I couldn't even take my wife out for dinner in a movie night. That's not cool. That doesn't feel good. And so by you adopting a different mode of thought and a different approach like I'm suggesting for you here, and not showing your prices and you conversing fully about the project with every single client that comes your way, you're gonna build tolerance because you're gonna get rejected. That happens. You're going to get people that say you're too expensive. That happens. You're also going to get people that will ignore you. That happens. You're going to get people that will ghost you. That happens. That is how sales works. And the best part about that tolerance is that that helps you propel yourself to a better place. And you're gonna wanna do new practices. It's also gonna help you get better results. It's gonna help you grow your skills because I'm gonna be very honest with you right now. When you're not getting paid as much as you would like, it makes you question how much effort you put into this. And people will fight me on this, but I'm just gonna say it. If you are being underpaid, you are also underperforming. When you are paid what you like, when you are paid a competitive wage, you feel more compelled to try harder. As I've gone up in pricing, my expectations of myself, my standards, and my foundations have grown along with it. And I had a good standard when I started because I wanted to grow. But if you keep yourself down with practices that are not functioning for your growth like this, you'll never get there. And that won't force new ideas for you either, because you, my friend, are not tolerant enough yet to be able to do it. You have to build the soft skill in order to make it, and as well, in order to sustain yourself long term. Because how many people out here have been doing this as long as I have or longer that are still using low price commission sheets? None of them. None of them that are proud of it. But you could be. Now, as I've been going through this video today, one of the biggest things I, again, want to push out to you is how you are going to build a better client experience through actually having a discussion with your potential clients, with your leads. And the best thing I want to let you know is that you're going to develop a real human interaction. Because the issue, again, with you just putting out your pricing sheet or somebody DMing you for pricing and you just slap that bad boy out right away without any further talk about it, is that you are not developing a human connection first. The greatest piece of advice I want to give you is this: the more that you humanize, the more that you will monetize. And I think a lot of people have a misconception around how this process works and what does it look like. You're gonna think of some like slimy, scummy, like used car salesman with like slick back hair. It's not like that. It's chill. It's conversational. It's very low pressure. In fact, almost no pressure at all. And I want to go ahead and tell you exactly how does this work. And I made an entire guide for you and template for you to use right here. So go ahead and go check it out. And if this helped you, share with someone that you know. Thanks so much and see you next time.